Yo, what's up, YouTubers? Okay, so I'm out here, and I was thinking about the homeless and stuff like that, and maybe some tips to help reach the lost, and it being Sunday, generally a lot of churches help on Sunday, but like Monday and Tuesday, they kind of, are on their own type of deal in a lot of places. So one of the things that's real good for raising a family is to make the family dinner and then just make it, all on plates and everything else like that. And then take it and give it to somebody that's more hungry than you are and that you don't eat. That sounds pretty extreme, but I mean, if you really want to put the gospel in your children, and they see mom and dad do that, it's really, really exceptional. And one of the things you got to remember is that if you're not eating on a regular basis, it's hard to eat a great big meal. So asking a fellow one time, say, hey man, we get this, we get that. And then another time, I actually cooked 2 steaks. And the guy said, I don't want to try to digest it or whatever. And he was acting like he had a house because he was embarrassed, but he did not, obviously. And then I seen a video, and the guy's like, whatever you want, man, I'll get it for you. And the guy explained, he said, when you don't eat regularly, you can't eat a big meal. So I was like, I don't think a lot of people know that, so I figured I'd make this video and, present in a way that, we're going to have a family meal or whatever and sit at the table and everything and maybe have some individually packaged sides and stuff like that, because, that main course or whatever, even that, they might have to eat a little bit now and a little bit later. And then if you got that, bag of chips or whatever for the sides, in individually packaged, smaller, shelf-stable, picnic type of deal, that might be more appropriate for this endeavor. And the endeavor is to, you want to spread the love of God in the world. And you want to instill that with your kids, and then you want it to hurt a little bit. You want to give till it hurts. And I'm going to say about once a quarter, you know what I mean? And the after effects, where the kids are rationalizing it, as an adult, your children will teach you things. Like, you'll be expecting something. Kids say the darndest things, right? But this is on the good side of that, and it's really it's a wealth and a well of the love of God, the agape love. Like, you'll be trying to give it to your kids, and your kids will end up giving it to you, and on occasion. Now you're going to have some of them that'll fuss, balk at it, and everything else like that. That does happen. But I've never seen a kid that wouldn't miss dinner and get ice cream later type of deal. You know what I mean? So, and then the other thing is establishing the piggy bank and the saving up for later and stuff, and then giving them the option that, hey, we're gonna do this every 90 days. I want you to have a savings account where you save a little here, save a little there, and that'll show them what instill the power of savings and stuff like that. And then at that 90, you can say, hey, do we want to give a man a fish, or do we want to teach him how to fish type of deal? And then how would we find the right individual to help and stuff like that? And then, of course, if you're in the country or something, there's, buying a sandwich or, buying a bottle-fed calf, feed the calf, and, the processing and all that, take half of it and use the proceeds appropriately in the community. So that's real good, You got that, an individual that, they have a yard, they're in the country, you know what I mean? Give them a little goat, you know what I mean? And say, talk to the parents and stuff like that and say, hey, my kid, we save up and we donate, and I'm trying to teach them, blah, 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 and make it, you want to keep their dignity intact, you know what I mean? Because I grew up that way, you know what I mean? I was blessed with a lack of, with the ignorance. So, like, when my coat come from Goodwill, I was like, this is a cool coat. And then everybody made fun of me because I got it at Goodwill. And I was like, what's wrong with Goodwill? So I was just ignorant, you know what I mean? I didn't have this societal thing. And which has served me my entire life, actually. I'm really glad about it. And, even read the Bible. Like, I've talked to people from Israel that are, running synagogues and have a dialogue back and forth about the Bible. And they're like, how do you have so much understanding? And I'm just like, I read the book. I'll see these other people, they'll be making these profound statements. And I'm like, I've been saying that for the last 27 years or whatever, And that's not me saying I got a big head or whatever else like that. I mean, it's just, it is what it is, And I wish I knew more so I could help more. I don't wish I knew more so I could lord it over somebody. That would be chicken shit. So, anyway, yeah, that's real good to remember. When you're dealing with the homeless, sometimes you have sometimes there'll be a bunch of them gathered up, and you don't want to take your family around that for operational security, you know what I mean? Some of them's crazy, a lot of them, some of them, they're all desperate, so you get desperate and crazy together, you don't know what's going to transpire. And then you want to look at the age of them, you know what I mean? Because the Bible says if a man don't work, then he shouldn't eat, right? And then they left the corners of their field. That way, if somebody was in need, they could go over there and glean from the corners and get what they needed until they get on their feet, type of deal. Or if they're passing through, whatever. So that's the biblical standard, you know what I mean? So when you see this guy that obviously can go get a job, you might push on until you see the widowed or the elderly types. And in fellowship, be prepared for the fellowship. Always bring songs. Always bring songs. They love the songs. And then if you're a prepper type person, you know what I mean? I don't know what the deal is, but like everybody's got like a big box with a bunch of little boxes, and they put their stuff in each little box, and they're like, oh, well, I had this, and I put this and this and this and that and this and the other. I don't know what the deal is with that, but everybody does that. At your house, you go in the chest of drawers, or the kitchen cabinets, or the pantry, or whatever. Like everybody's got their little spot for their stuff, and 9 times out of 10, in a household, you've put thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars into cabinets, right? Well, that person up there doing, not as well off, they got a little box or something. Let them show you. Let them show you. You know what I mean? You'd be amazed. I mean, the same way your wife feels about, hey, look at these cabinets. They'll be like, hey, look at this, container. You know what I mean? Look at my space. and the things I put in my space, and take mental note of what, I mean, this person's on the edge of society, right? They don't have running water, no electricity, and they got to make facilities to drop a news, you know what I mean? So they are prepared. So if you take note of those preparations and how that's going for them, you know what I mean, as part of your fellowship, you're there to bless them, you're there to bring them some food and stuff like that or whatever, and then, you know, you're there with your family and you guys, you know, eat together, whatever else like that, or if they're, you know, whatever's appropriate. When you leave that interaction, go get back in the car and park the car close. That way if something jumps off, you can run and get in the car, right? And you have to tell your family, hey, we're going here. This is going to be cool. It's going to work out. Jesus has got our back and everything. But sometimes Jesus wants us to know when to hold them and when to fold them, when to walk away and when to run. But be very observant and be very respectful. When we do this for the least of these, we're doing it for Jesus himself. Okay? So we walk up to this person, whatever type of deal. Hey, you know, you need some help. Me and my family, we try to bless people and provide fellowship. And we brought dinner. Just dinner. You know what I mean? Introduced you. Hey, this is my wife. These are my kids. What was your name? Okay, cool. You want to have dinner? Like we got this picnic basket or whatever. You know what I mean? And have that interaction. You know what I'm saying? And grow and glean. Like, give to them. You're there to give. But it's better to give than to receive. And let that person, it builds their dignity when they give to you. Hey, ma'am, in all your years, you obviously have a ton of wisdom. You always compliment them. You obviously have a ton of wisdom. What advice would you give my kids? What advice would you give what advice would you give me? You know what I mean? And that order, for some reason, helps. And then now this person is in a place, in a position of esteem that they haven't had for a long time. You're providing them that place of esteem. You know what I mean? And they'll think about that the next day. You'll be like, you know what? That whole family wanted to know me. They cared about me. They wanted to know what I had to say. And that might make the difference of whether or not they'll get up and go try again. Because they can do it. They just have certain situation that you know, generally it's a cascading, you know, collapse of resource and all kind of, you know, mental and all this stuff, and then you come along there and you can be that little bit that gets them over the hump, you know, and you can pray with them and stuff like that to get that spiritual off of them. And that person, you know, 2-3 days later is like, you know what, maybe I should try again. Maybe I can get up. Maybe Jesus is real and he is going to give me an opportunity to get out of the situation that's difficult into a more comfortable situation, like a job, you know. And you got to remember, like, you might be sitting there thinking about, you know, next week's work. You might be thinking about, you're thinking more long term than they are. They're sleeping outside. Okay? They're worried where they're going to get their next meal. You know what I mean? You're thinking about your 401k that's not going to mature for 15 years. And, you know, geopolitics, trying to guess. You know, you're like building a cabin in the woods. How am I going to, you know, do I have 4 pairs of shoes so that when I wear them out, get to the cabin, I'll have, you know, 2 more pairs when I get there. You know, my kid is 6, apocalypse in 2 years, and then we got to live in the woods for 8. How big's his foot going to be when he's 22? And do I have some boots for him? You know what I mean? That's a lot different than how am I going to get out of the rain tonight? So incredible for me, like for anybody. But for me, I found it incredible to try to show the gospel to the homeless and to the prisoners. Now, grab a different ear. Say you got this book and you think this book is just awesome, and you're like, how in the world am I going to get people to read this book? Buy a brand new copy of that book and take it to the county jail. The county jail will let you give them a book, and they will let the inmates read it. And if it's a good book about Jesus that you want somebody to read that really needs to hear it, take it to the jail. This is a great way to lay up treasure in heaven. I mean, like, you figure $15, $20, it's got to be a softback and brand new for them to let it in there, right? So, well, I got one of the testimony books. So, you know, just a little book. I might be able to, can I grab it random? Now, well, this is a testimony. They would take this at the county jail, right? And this is real life stories of veterans. And I got one that's inmate to inmate. So I go to county jail. Like, hey, I got these Bibles. Here's these Bibles. So I grab a handful of them. About 2 copies of each. Man, why is this thing making all this noise? Every now and then, keywords are known for that problem. You got to be in the right ear, you know what I mean? I'm on the back road, so that's probably what it is. Anyway, expect delays, expect hassles. You know what I mean? If you're going to try to do these things for God, the enemy's going to fight you. It's just a given. And just little stuff like this stupid thing, just plastic rattling for no reason. You know what I mean? And anyway, say you spend a $100 bill, and you buy, you know, some books. They need to be brand new. You take another, they'll last probably 6 months to 2 years on that book cart that they drive around the jail. They got a little cart thing that they'll push it around. Man, then people, they'll read it, and if it's good, they'll pass it to their buddy, and that whole cell block will read that book, and then they'll get back on the cart in a different cell block, and then these people go on, and the new people come in, and I seen this one book, I can't remember what it was called, but it was talking about spiritual warfare, and it couldn't have been 200 pages, but I watched everybody in there read that thing, and the people that would never open the Bible or anything else are scared of it, right? But they'll read a book about the Bible, you know, so that's the thing, right? And to make sure it's high quality. But if you want somebody to read a book, take it to the county jail. And if it's a book that'll help them get to, you know, the great yonder, where they call roll, when the roll is called up yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. And I want them to be there too, and I want you to be there. And if you do something to get God's kids up there, you are laying treasure up in heaven. Hot dog, that's worth a lot. That's where your head's at. So you know what I mean. And then the blessings will flow. And I'll leave you with this: make a list of what you consider wealth. You know. They say, well, you got your health, wealth, and prosperity. Well, I would say that your health is wealth. You know what I mean? What's his name? Warren Buffett would love to have my vigor. I guarantee it. You know, he's old. You look at one of these 15, 20-year-old that age and the things I could do and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, if I could go back and have that youthful, fresh carcass, but keep the old man wisdom, oh, man. It's amazing how the wisdom grows in the nimble fades a little bit. But there's ways that you can even keep that and get that back. There's a lot of ways I'm stronger now than I was when I was 18. I'll tell you right now, yeah, I could jump off the roof of a house, roll across the ground, get up and go eat a sandwich, chug 2 beers, get back on the roof and finish the job. I ain't jumping off the roof today, I guarantee you that. It wasn't like we even had to. Like, there was a ladder right there. It was just for, it was quicker and it looked cool. So, and, anyway, I think I'm going to get off here. I already made it too long. All right, Rock Hill.